Bring in our chief of analyst, Khalif Rhodes. Khalif, you have seen some of the things from Iryna's law in practice. What do you make of what Sheriff McFadden was saying? Because you've seen it at the court level.
Well, it's a few things. Obviously, as the former chief magistrate, I'm intimately connected to the creating conditions for release. As a magistrate in every county in North Carolina, that's the entryway into the judicial system. And so magistrates would see an individual, they'd set conditions, and either they'd be released or they'd stay until they see a district court judge. What Iryna's law did was significantly change what that process looks like. But I'd even step back a step before that. That Pretrial Integrity Act changes that happened the year before made significant changes. Iryna's law just kind of gutted, significantly what the magistrates can do. So what I would hit on, if looking at this, and kind of what Sheriff McFadden was saying, is that these types of things work best when you're talking to the individuals that are doing the job. And so I remember when I was there, they'd make these changes, and I'm like, well, no one that actually is a magistrate had any input on the 10 changes that you're making, but you've now implemented these things that will ultimately cause a backlog in the court system, will slow down the process, will overload the jail system. And so there are a number of things that will happen. And so I can understand and appreciate what he's saying, is that you want input from stakeholders that will actually do the job, so that you can understand what the secondary effects of something like this would do.
There were fingers being pointed yesterday on both sides. You had state legislators saying, hey, listen, the blood is on your hands. But then you had city and county officials going, hey, we need more help. We need more funding. We need more bodies. Right. Where's that fine line of responsibility when it comes to public safety and criminal justice between state lawmakers and city leaders?
I think they all owned it. I mean, I think our contingency that went up there from our DA, Spencer Merriweather, McFadden, the mayor, our new police chief, and Marcus, our city manager, all did an excellent job trying to express to them that, yeah, we can understand and appreciate the concerns that you have, but there is a cost connected to what you're saying. But then also really hitting home on the numbers. When you talk about violent crime, yeah, people can see these large events, and my heart goes out to the family of anyone that's involved in a violent crime. But violent crime is down 11% based on the numbers that I've seen. 259 agencies report to the North Carolina incident-based reporting system, and the governor's crime commission said that crime was down over the last 4 years, 11% for violent crimes. So what does the General Assembly do in response to that? Because we have these one-off scenarios, they go and change the law and implement something for violent offenses. So within Iryna's law, they got rid of written promises to appear. They removed the magistrate's ability to do a number of things, but creating this new violent offense level shifts the burden from the presumption of the DA's office having to say why you should be kept in there, to now the defendant has to prove to the court. That's the shifting of the burden to say, now, why should I be let out? That shift is going to cause a massive increase of folks sitting there that you had one offense. This list, you had two offenses. It lists for what happens when you have three offenses. That amount of detail that the General Assembly added there is going to create something that I don't think they anticipated.
Are we starting to see those effects already? Because this law was passed late last year, but what are we seeing in real time?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm seeing individuals that would have been released and got a new court date and been able to go to court now sitting and waiting. I'm seeing individuals that, because they're not able to overcome what's that rebuttable presumption that no condition that can be set would ensure that the public can be safe and that they will appear to court, because that's what the standard is, that now they're sitting and they're waiting. And they're waiting for an amount of time that now money connects to that. And that's why folks were talking about the dollar amount. Now you have to be able to house them. Now you have to be able to put them there. And so, yes, these are individuals that are considered under the General Assembly's new characterization of violent offenses. But I'm not sure if this is what you were anticipating, because now you have to find somewhere to keep these individuals.
Khalif, real quickly, what my mind goes to is a right to a speedy trial. If these people are sitting around and there's not enough funding or the case, there's a backlog in cases, do you run that problem of people just sitting around in jail cells for a year plus for their day in court?
Possibly. I mean, you do have a constitutional right. North Carolina doesn't have a speedy trial statute, but on a constitutional level, you have a constitutional right to a speedy trial. The issue is, because we follow a trial court administrator process, because our court calendar is managed by the DA's office and our trial court management system, that any type of challenge to that would be, hey, we're moving these cases that are probably 3 or 4 years in the backlog anyway. So it's not specific to your case why you're being delayed. And it's not a delay intentionally by the DA's office. It's just time. I mean, we're still trying cases from 2021. We're in 2026. Just last week, there were trials being done from 2021 and 2022. So the backlog was there before these changes. What I'm overemphasizing is that there will be a significant log within that system that would ultimately lead to some type of delay in justice. Just not a constitutional violation, just longer time.
All right, Khalif Rhodes, thank you for your insight on both topics today.
Queen City News Plus. Just search Queen City News on your smart TV's app store.